Ever get that feeling? You know when you open up a city council meeting agenda
Oh, yeah.
and it's like longer than War and Peace?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like you need a whole semester course just to figure out what's going on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, consider this your crash course.
Okay.
Minus the pop quizzes.
Okay.
Today, we are diving into Palo Alto City Council meetings from April 2024.
Okay.
And trust me, amidst the usual zoning battles and budget talks,
Yeah.
there is some real drama brewing.
What's so interesting about this time period is how, global events really seep into the local conversation.
Right.
You know, we're talking about the Israel-Hamas war,
Yeah.
a conflict that's happening thousands of miles away.
Right.
But it sparked some of the most, impassioned pleas
Wow.
and heated debates
Really?
in those council chambers.
It's true, though. I mean, it's a reminder that even in a place like Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
which, everyone thinks of as just focused on the future,
Right.
people are deeply affected by what's happening in the wider world.
Absolutely.
And those emotions, they spill right over into those meetings.
They do take the issue of anti-Semitism, for example.
Yeah.
This wasn't just some abstract concept discussed in policy terms. The minutes document this very real rise in incidents.
Right.
And you hear directly from residents Annabelle, for instance, who spoke on behalf of 8 others.
Oh, wow.
Sharing their fear and urging the council to take action.
Yeah, it's one thing to read about anti-Semitic incidents, in the news or whatever, but then to actually hear residents describe feeling unsafe in their own community.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
It is.
And it puts the council in a really tough spot.
Right, because how do you balance freedom of speech with the need to protect residents from hate speech?
It's just impossible.
Yeah. And Mayor Stone, to his credit, really tried to foster dialogue and understanding.
Yeah.
But you can sense the tension in the room.
Oh, I bet.
It's like he's walking this tightrope, trying to acknowledge these very real fears and anger, while preventing the conversation from completely derailing.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Deborah's statement, who challenged the council about the lack of police presence at a pro-Palestinian demonstration.
Wow.
To her, it signaled this lack of concern for the safety of Jewish residents.
Interesting. And that's where things get really interesting.
Yes.
Because you see this undercurrent of mistrust.
Yes.
Bubbling to the surface.
Absolutely.
And it's not even just about this one issue.
Right.
It's about whether the council is truly representing and protecting all its residents.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that sometimes these meetings become like a microcosm of these big societal things.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, there are these very hyper-local issues that need addressing.
Yeah.
And in Palo Alto, few things are as contentious or complex as
the housing element.
The housing element.
Infamous housing element.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, so for anyone new to California housing drama, imagine being told you need to plan for 20,000 new homes.
Oh, yeah.
In your city by 2031.
Right.
That's essentially the mandate.
And here's
from this kicker. Department of Housing and Community Development.
Yes.
Or HCD, as they call it.
They love their acronyms.
Oh, they do?
The state does not make it easy.
No.
Cities have to navigate this labyrinthine approval process.
Really?
They have to secure funding.
What?
They have to balance competing demands from residents, all while under this immense pressure to meet these state-mandated housing goals.
So it's no surprise that these meeting minutes are filled with these passionate debates.
Totally.
About density.
Oh, yeah.
Affordability.
For sure.
And what residents see as this essential feel of Palo Alto.
Right. What does it even mean to preserve neighborhood character?
Right.
When you're talking about adding thousands of new homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Right. That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Some residents worried that high-density housing would erode that small-town atmosphere and lead to traffic nightmares.
Sure.
Others were concerned about the strain on infrastructure and schools.
Of course.
Right.
And then there's the affordability piece.
Yes.
Because building more housing doesn't automatically mean it's affordable for the people who live and work there.
Exactly.
So you have teachers, firefighters, even tech workers getting priced out of the very city they contribute to.
Absolutely. And so it creates this fascinating dynamic where everyone agrees there's a problem. But nobody can agree on a solution.
Okay.
And the council is stuck in the middle, trying to appease both the state and their constituents.
It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a unicycle on a tightrope.
Exactly.
And just when you think it can't get any more complicated.
Right.
Another hot-button issue lands on the agenda.
Here we go.
Bike lanes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The El Camino Real bike lane debate.
Okay, so... Caltrans, the state transportation agency, proposes this major overhaul of El Camino Real. Their big idea.
Let's hear it.
Replace parking with dedicated bike lanes. Interesting. And this isn't just like a little tweak.
This is big.
We're talking major thoroughfare.
Huge.
That runs right through the heart of Palo Alto.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, this sparked a reaction.
I bet.
Yeah.
A big one.
It wasn't just about bikes, was it?
It was about so much more than bikes.
I didn't think so.
This ignited this broader conversation about transportation, about economic development.
Wow.
Even social equity.
Really?
Yeah, you had residents advocating for safer cycling infrastructure.
Okay, so they want the bike lanes?
They want the bike lanes. They're arguing that it'll reduce traffic. Promote a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
But then you have businesses who are worried about losing those precious parking spots.
They're concerned about the impact on their bottom line.
Right.
Customer convenience.
Yeah, of course.
And then there's this whole other issue.
Which is?
Of RV dwellers.
Oh, right.
Who rely on those parking spots for shelter.
Wow.
Where do they fit into all of this?
Exactly.
So this seemingly simple debate about bike lanes exposes all these complex realities of a city grappling with these competing needs and priorities.
And as if the council didn't have enough on their plate.
Right.
The minutes also reveal...
What's that?
Some tension between them and Caltrans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because even though it was a Caltrans project, residents looked to
their local
elected
representatives
for answers. Well, so it highlights that sometimes tense relationship between different levels of government.
Right.
The city is often caught in the middle trying to implement state mandates while addressing the very real concerns of residents.
Tough spot to be in.
It is a tough spot to be in.
It's like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Totally.
You know. But you know what I find so interesting about this?
How's it that?
It's not always about what's said in these meetings.
Oh, okay.
It's about what's left unsaid.
Interesting.
You know, for instance, there's very little discussion about economic hardship.
You're right.
In any of these meetings.
Yeah, and the cost of living in Palo Alto. Is like
through the roof.
Astronomical.
I know. Yeah, you'd think that'd be like a bigger part of the conversation.
You would think.
Especially when you're talking about housing and affordability and all that.
Exactly.
So why wasn't it more prominent?
It makes you wonder if maybe those concerns were overshadowed by these sort of like more immediate headline-grabbing issues.
The sexy issues.
Right, exactly.
Everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah, or if there's this perception that everyone in Palo Alto
is doing great.
Is doing fine.
Right.
Which, you know, is not the case.
Yeah, true at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this silent pressure cooker. You know, just like simmering beneath the surface.
And it just highlights how important it is to like look beyond just the obvious and consider, you know, those voices that might not be heard as loudly.
Totally. And it makes me think of that saying.
What's that?
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right.
But it's like, what about the wheels that haven't even started squeaking yet?
Exactly. And that's where I think like a deep dive, like this is so valuable. You know, it helps us see those less obvious things.
Totally. Those pressure points.
Those pressure points, exactly.
The things that might not be making the front page news.
For sure.
But are still impacting people's everyday lives.
Absolutely.
Speaking of things that don't always get the attention they deserve.
Yeah.
I was so struck by.
What's that?
How often city staff and volunteers are mentioned.
Right.
In these minutes.
Yeah, they're like the unsung heroes of local government.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Really working hard.
Absolutely. And they're the ones tasked with like translating all of these passionate debates into actual policy.
It's a big job.
It is a big job.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they have very limited resources and super tight deadlines.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in the drama. Of these council meetings. But at the end of the day, someone has to figure out how to operationalize all of this stuff.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's clear from the minutes that they do approach these challenges with just incredible dedication.
They have to.
They're navigating these complex regulations. They're juggling resident requests.
Of course.
They're trying to keep everything running smoothly.
I don't envy them.
No.
It really makes you appreciate all that invisible effort that goes into keeping a city like Palo Alto functioning.
That's right.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive here into these Palo Alto City Council meetings, what's the biggest takeaway?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You hope our listeners.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just this idea of staying curious and engaged.
Okay.
Don't just accept the headlines at face value.
Go deeper.
Go deeper. Exactly.
Yeah.
Explore those different perspectives.
Love it.
And just remember that every issue, no matter how hyper local it seems or insignificant, it's always connected to something much larger.
I love that. And I love that you said that, because the next time our listeners find themselves, facing down a mountain of meeting minutes, I hope they remember that there is a whole lot more going on beneath the surface.
Absolutely.
Just waiting to be discovered.
That's right.
And who knows?
Yeah.
They might just find it utterly fascinating.
I think they will.
I do too.